You didn't move to the U.S. to run away from the college. That's not what happened at all. This has been planned. Like, immigration has been planned for a number of years.
Yeah, I wouldn't run away from that.
It's America.
Yeah.
No. It's just like, it's also a political benefit. I was stressed out about you living in downtown Toronto. People knew where you lived. Neighborhood I thought has been uncomfortable since 2016 when there were reporters down the street.
Yeah.
And
I lived in kind of a Champagne socialist neighborhood, and most of the people there have been positively predisposed to me, but a substantial minority have definitely not been. And I'm less popular in my own neighborhood than I am anywhere else in the world, literally. And that's very annoying. And my son, Julian, your brother, as you know, he lived on the street too, which is part of the reason I lived there, right? Because and he also was inclined to move away because it had become uncomfortable. And I didn't ever expect that to be something that happened in Canada, but under Justin and the woke mob, that's definitely something that's happened.
I didn't realize Julian moved out of the neighborhood because he was uncomfortable. I mean, I was certainly uncomfortable.
There were other reasons, but I don't think he would have moved. Like, part of the reason was we weren't there as often as we had originally envisioned, so there was less reason for him to be there, and there was certainly no reason for him to be there if it was uncomfortable. You know, and I'm not very happy about that. Like, we lived in that neighborhood for 20 years.
And neither am I.
And I was
stupid people.
Very good to people in that neighborhood, and so was Tammy, and you guys grew up there. And so the fact that it had become politicized it was educational, put it that way.
That neighborhood was filled with people who would have called their neighbor on someone who had a party during COVID or had their family members over during COVID. It turns out that's where we lived. That's why I was like, we
Toronto.
Also
want to. Yes, Toronto was very bad during the lockdown. Very bad. Very bad. And the Toronto District School Board is an absolute disgrace. It's probably the most woke institution in North America, which is really saying something. And the city is basically run by the wife of the last leader of the Socialist Party in Canada. And so the goal in Toronto is to turn it into Portland or San Francisco. And that's happening. You know, there's tent cities and street crime in Toronto, and they've just let the traffic situation in Toronto degenerate completely, because you can excuse your incompetence as a city administrator, it turns out, by pretending that you're a green utopian and working for the benefit of the planet while you fail to do your job and let the city degenerate into a snarled up rat hole. So, yeah. Anyways, apologies for all that, but it has been. See, I didn't know how stressed I was in my neighborhood until I left, and that's not pleasant. It's not pleasant.